can't be all that you are.
Hey everyone, welcome to This Era, the show that talks about the many sides of me. I'm your host, Kevin, and today I am joined with a special guest, my friend Malique.
Hello.
Hi, Malique. This is Malique's first time here on my show, which is awesome.
First time.
First time
for everything.
Ew, that's so nasty. We've heard of first times in this household, sweetie. Yes.
I know I've had many.
Ew, that's so nasty. We were just talking about a little moment too right now too. First times, I guess. That was a first time. Behind the scenes, no one's going to talk about it, but you know.
Definitely not.
Definitely not. But first time for everything. So Malique, why don't you introduce yourself and what you do, who you are? What's your identity? I'm just kidding. I don't know. What do you do?
So, I'm a man, a person of many talents. One is sleeping. Two, being that bitch. No, but in serious, no. I am from New York, born and raised Brooklyn. An African-American male. I now reside in the great state of Arizona, if we can call it that. I guess professionally, first passions were culinary arts and cooking, to where I got my drive for my first passion in life, was cooking. I went to college for it. I competed. Then I worked in the restaurant industry. I have a bachelor's degree, did the whole life thing. Currently now, left the culinary industry because it is just a very tiring thing for people who have worked in the industry. I think they would know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
With how exhausting it can be, and I'm going for a different change of pace, utilizing the other half of my degree. Yeah. Anything else specifically you want to know?
I mean, I know that one of your hobbies is dancing and stuff, right?
Oh yeah. That I do that too. A little amateur wannabe professional dancer.
We love amateur, yes. You're doing good with the dancing. I see you on your Snap, whatever, and everything, and you're improving for sure. And you're working out too, huh?
Yeah, a lot actually. I was back day yesterday. Was debating on going today after this recording. I most likely am. Body goals, I keep saying I want a summer body, but I have to remember a summer body is a body at the beach. So I'm trying to manifest that.
Yes.
When it comes to dancing, I'm a part of a team called the Dance Clones. I dance at the local studio in Tucson called The Drop. Great dance community here. They really I started off 2 years ago, and to see my progress now from where I once started is kind of crazy, because I never saw myself being as good as I've gotten in such a short amount of time.
Okay.
And not to toot my own horn, but
no, definitely.
It's definitely good to give yourself that own little boost, because if ain't no one gonna hype you up, you gotta hype yourself up.
It's a form of self-respect, right? I think that's what it is.
Self-love,
yeah. Well, while we're in the sort of topic of self-love, self-respect, those kinds of things, our topic today is the comparison trap and why comparing yourself to others can steal our joy. So that's what me and Malique are talking about today for the listeners. I was going to say the viewers, but there's no video, whatever. But I could do that. And first I want to say that if anybody is tuning in, whatever, through Spotify, you could answer the poll right here, and you can answer a question of, I don't know what the question is going to be yet, but it's going to be something, something with the lines of this. And then I encourage you to answer. And yeah. Anyways, so the comparison topic, whatever. How can this affect our mental health and well-being? So when it comes to you and dancing and stuff like that, I'm sure you've compared yourself with other people when you first started dancing, right?
Oh yeah, all the time. It's like the first thing anyone does when you like, especially when you're starting out new. You don't know your body. You beat yourself up for not getting a move as fast as everyone else. You know, you're paying for a class and you feel like you wasted your money because while everyone else is doing amazing, you're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're just like, this was a waste of my own time because I'm not as good as that little 12-year-old girl that started dancing the second she could walk, you know?
Yes. And I think that's the trap right there, right? You would agree.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get out of that for you?
Well, for me, it took a lot of like talking to others about like dance itself. Like for me, the choreographers, also Tucson having such an amazing dance community, everyone's willing to help you improve yourself and get better in dancing.
Yes.
And any way it is, if it's like understanding how a move works or like learning the control of your own body, you know, getting little tips and tricks from everybody and practicing just helps a lot. I happen to take a lot of private lessons with the owner of the studio, and he gave me a lot of like personal tips and tricks. You know, he told me his journey, the way he started. You know, he didn't just start off just moving it the way he did. It took time and years. He's been dancing for like 15 years or more. So he knows his body, he knows what he's capable of, and he knows how to push himself. For me, I'm just learning basic function, like especially when you like go into other styles of dance that you aren't comfortable with, you're gonna feel like a toddler just gaining their legs. And then like for people who do like who've danced for a long time, they start off really young. And in the classes that I was taking, there were a lot of younger kids. Like I'm an older male, not older, but I'm a young male. But to them, I'm an old man because like these are 16, 15, 14-year-olds that I'm in class with that are moving like amazingly. And actually, it brings up a good point, or not a point, but a thought that I just remembered. His name is Billy, and he was saying how you don't have to move super fast or be perfectly in tune with the song or move like me. Move and feel the song the best way your body translates it. Because he said you can practice the same move and get it perfect over and over. But he said the comparison between you, a 24-year-old who's lived life and had life experiences, listening to the song and hearing the lyrics of the song, because I think the song that we were dancing to was like a heartbreak song type of thing. And he's like, you know, you probably had heartbreak of your own, and you can like channel those emotions and display the emotion of the dance better than just displaying the technicality of the dance. He's like, compared to little old Allison, who's 12 years old, yeah, she might move like super fast and super intricate, but she can't display the emotion that the song is giving. In that respect, in that regard, it's like, I'm not calling myself better than her, but I'm displaying more than what she's able to. And that was like the first time I really felt like I leveled up in dancing per se, and I stopped comparing myself to everyone in class. I no longer do that anymore. It's been 2 years now, and like I'm just focusing on myself. That's like one aspect of me comparing myself, and just like one aspect of things that I do in my life.
For me, like when I don't talk to the people, like when I'm not like, how can I visualize this for like the listeners? Like, it's like when I'm not stretching my arms and like, you know, my energy isn't pointed outwards to like the people around me, where I'm not talking to them or anything like that. I feel like that is what makes me start going in my head and being like, you know, what do they think of me, or what do they do this, or why are they like that? Like those kinds of things, the comparison thing, whatever. And I've noticed that it eases, like the anxiety is lessened or whatever when you start getting to know the person or talk to them, or just like learn something, like you said, like practice. And I think that's like something I know that I have right here we have like a little note thing, whatever. You know, we're talking about like tips and stuff. I think that's like a tip that I personally could say is to just, I know it might be hard to not want to like talk to people, or like not want to like learn something, but like I think you just have to really like you just have to do it. It's so easy to say
Yeah,
that, but
I
like, you,
I think the best way, like coming back to the dance thing, but a tip that I was told by many of the dancers there is when you're in that class, everyone paid the same amount of money to be there and to learn the same thing that they're learning, together in a group.
yes.
So stop staring at everyone else because no one's paying attention to you. And when I really realized that no one's looking at me because they're all looking at themselves because they're already at that level where they're not comparing their skills and technicality to your skills and technicality because they're trying to focus on themselves.
Uh-huh.
You just have to remember to come back and focus on yourself. Once you can just say to yourself, like, it's not about them, it's about me. What can I do better? Not better than them, but what can I do better?
Yes. I know I hate having that realization where it's like, or like somebody tells you where they're like, literally no one's like looking at you or like no one gives a shit. And there is people that are like that. Yes, there's probably like one person maybe, or even not, that is, but in reality, like, it's like you said, I like that this sort of topic is so perfect with your situation because you do something that involves like being with other people and like doing something that's more not vulnerable but like very emotionally like driven and like connected, like you said, like your experiences and like the music and these kinds of things and movement and energy that you're also looking at other people's energy, and that's like also could affect you and reflect back to you too, and it's just so perfect with this sort of topic, whatever, with this comparison thing. So I think it's just so interesting that, I like that this is like something that me and you are sort of talking about. I know that sounds like so like, oh my God, but
no, trust me. When you told me about the topic and I like read through everything, I thought I have so many examples in my life where that was a big issue for me. Like I can touch the culinary aspect of my life when I was very kitchen and food driven. Like, don't get me wrong, I still have a passion for food. I might not cook as much as I should for myself.
But he can eat
But
it.
when I was in college, yeah. But when I was in school and I was on a competition team.
Okay.
And the thing is I was in direct competition. So like for people who do compete or like in not like in anything in general, you compete in work, you compete in life. You're always going to be comparing yourself, and you always have to remember that it's not about what everyone else is doing. It's about what you can do and what you can do better than everyone else. And like, there are good things to comparison and there are bad things, but I think the bad outweighs the good in most aspects. When I got into the cooking competitions, and like you can think of like Chopped or like Teen Chef is essentially what it was like.
Oh wow!
It was a competition to compete for my scholarship that I won to get into college. I went to Monroe College in New York, New Rochelle, and it was the best pastry chef. Like, let me backtrack.
Okay.
Everyone on the competition team wanted to be a part of the main. How do I call it? Like kitchen brigade. Okay. Where this team, now this was an actual team comprised of a team of 5 students, and you would compete on a regional, state, regional, and then national level. And they have to like win states, then they go to regional, and then you go to national, but you're competing for a really high culinary honor.
Okay.
And there's a thing called like the Culinary Olympics that happens every 4 years and whatnot. And the goal is essentially to be so good and to get on the American team. And like, it's a whole world of cooking that people don't know exists, because when people think of culinary and cooking, they think of Food Network and those kind of shows. While those shows still have their own, things to it, this is on a more higher level that will like secure you really high jobs in Michelin star restaurants around the world type of thing. Now, I did have goals and aspirations to get there, but when I realized that I wasn't going to dethrone Julie and I had to kind of prove myself that I'm good enough for myself, after our first actual ACF, there we go, American Culinary Federation, that's what I was looking for. When I had my first ACF competition, I placed gold, and I'm gonna backtrack again during my high school competition when they were announcing the places.
Yeah.
You know how they always start off with the first name they call is going to be third place, and then the second name they call is going to be first place, and then you're like, oh, who won second place?
Yeah.
I remember when they called Julie, like when they called the first girl, she got third place, and then they called Julie and she got first place. I was like, oh damn, I didn't place. Well, I already like given up. But then they said my name, Malique Harry, and then I just looked around and everyone was like, oh my god, you got second place.
That's wild.
And I was in a little state of shock. I was like, it took me like a good 15 seconds to realize that they said my name and everyone's clapping and looking at me.
Oh my god.
And they were like calling me to come up, and I was just so happy in that moment to win something.
Yeah.
I was just like, I immediately had thought, oh my god, I didn't get anything. I'm going to go home and cry. And then it's like, oh my god, I got fucking second place.
Yeah.
I'm fucking happy.
What made you so low self-esteem?
No.
Like what? Why? Like you had like low self-esteem, like in that moment, like you.
Yeah, I mean, it's because like I already had like I made myself come to terms so fast with like not placing anything that when I did place, I was just like, oh my god, wait, I was good enough,
Yeah.
Like, sure, I didn't get first place, and then I didn't learn the details about me getting first place until a couple of like months later when I was in school. But now coming back to this first ACF competition, everyone that was like, you had to kind of like, I guess the way Dean did it, like we call him Dean, he's like the head of the department and the head of the culinary team, and he's like on the ACF board and all that. Man has really big ego, and I think if anyone wants to take levels of comparison, we should take it from that man, because that man can't be compared to anybody, but he can compare you to everyone. He chose, so like the previous team from the year prior chooses apprentices.
Okay.
And each member that's already on the standing team chooses an apprentice, and then that apprentice becomes the new member of the team the next year, because the other team they graduate, and then they're done with college. So like you have the apprentices become the new team. Now they usually would take more than one apprentice per person, but this year they just decided to only have one apprentice for each person. So it's 5 people, so 5 apprentices. I heard that years prior and then years after they had multiple apprentices, like not just 5, they had like 6 or 7, because you have to have alternate people just in case if someone can't compete or, if someone drops out of school or something like that, shit happens. You had an extra apprentice to back up,
Yeah.
Now, I had 2 people who wanted me, or one person, he wanted me as his apprentice, but because Julie had went to the same school as 2 of the people on the same high school as 2 people on the team, and they already knew each other, like since they went to high school together, they were just I guess 2 years ahead of her. Lewis, his name is Lewis. He told me personally that he wanted me as his apprentice, but they couldn't have 2 pastry apprentices, which was kind of stupid. But since Sydney and this other girl, I can't get her name, since they wanted Julie specifically, she had to be the apprentice, and I wasn't even considered after that point.
Wow.
And I guess you can call it a point of comparison. Like, would you say?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. It's just like I immediately get put out because she had connections. And that sucked for me because I really wanted to be a part of this team, and I did have the passion and drive, but it wasn't the end all be all, because anyone that did apply to be on the team would just be on the individual competitor. Yeah. So I was going to be an individual competitor, and our very first competition that we competed in, coming forward to what I was originally going to say, there was this, it was a competition, and I didn't granted, I mean, not just regular competition where you all compete for individual medals. For the pastry side, it was a ranking, and whoever had the highest score points, first through 5th, all got a scholarship, an academic scholarship of some sort.
Oh, wow.
I had no idea. No one there, any of the people who were competing, had no idea. It was supposed to be a surprise.
Okay.
because normally the way that it works is the second you finish competing, like the second you finish your plate and they take your plate off, you clean up your station, you the judges have 15 minutes to like judge you and give you your score, and then you get your score immediately, and then you get your medal a little later on, and you know the next person comes in and competes. For the pastry, it wasn't like that. No one who competed in pastry were getting their immediate scores or medals. So we're like, why the hell are they like giving the culinary side their medals, but not us?
Yeah.
And then it started clicking in our heads. They're like, why are they holding it off? Everyone finishes competing. We're all gathered up in the kitchen, and then they start announcing our scores. Like, and that was also weird. Them announcing our scores out loud to everybody. When normally they would just kind of do it privately, not privately, but like, you know, everyone's in the kitchen, you can kind of see what's going on, but everyone's kind of quiet and they're announcing the scores. And then like right there, like in 5th place is Kiana Thomas with a score of 86, and she got $1,000 scholarship. In 4th place is da 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 da, and this place in like 3rd place is. And then by the time they got to 2nd place, me and Julie looked at each other and we realized, oh shit, this is the America's Best High School Chef competition all over again. And then everyone else, because everyone that was there also competed in that competition, and they look at us and everyone was like, oh fuck, who's going to get second? Who's going to get first? Because like, again, it's that goddamn competition.
Yeah.
And that was like a moment of people comparing us that I absolutely detested. Like, I just wanted to compete for myself personally, to know that I'm good enough.
Okay. Yeah.
But then they turned it into a big spectacle of who got the higher trophy.
Ew, dude. That's like, no.
And then they said with 92 points, Malique Harry gets 2nd place and a $10,000 scholarship.
Oh,
now the money was great. I appreciated the scholarship. But I'm just like, okay, I got a gold medal. I got 91 points. Okay. And then they go, in 1st place, Julie Velasquez with 92 points. And this amount, whatever the fuck she got for a scholarship. And I was just like, wow, not only did she get 1st place again, she got more money. Granted, us getting scholarships should be amazing. But in that moment, I should have been happy for the trophy that I got, and I proved that I like was able to do it again, and like, you know, like I made myself proud. It kind of gotten overshadowed and like undermined because of our previous experience in the previous competition by a surprise ranking. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
It sucked because I felt that I worked really hard to get where I was, for it to all kind of be, not like thrown out the window. Like, I still have the accolade, I still have the achievement, but it's just that everyone was just like, oh, Julie beat you. Like, literally my roommate came up to me and he was like, damn man, Julie beat you again. You're gonna let her keep doing that? And I'm just like, fuck you. I got a gold medal and you got silver.
Yeah.
I'm like, if you want to see some real comparison, I did better than you, bitch.
I commend you for like, you know, like not like reducing your like impact or whatever by like, you know, having like some self-compassion, you know, like that you're not like that, you did it for you. That's really big for you to like do that, because a lot of people don't have that, and they fall into that little hole, and then they become smaller and smaller and you know, have a hard time coming out. And I think you came into that knowing that, oh, it's for you. But I know that sucks so much ass that, like, you know, it's like the outside sort of stimulus is what kind of ruined that kind of celebration for you.
Yeah, like it turned into like a sour moment where I'm just like, I'm happy. Like, I want to be happy that I got a gold medal. I want to be happy that I got that scholarship. But then it sucked because, well, like Julie's like, I got first place. So I'm like seeing her.
You're like, shut up.
All like, I'm like, bitch, you didn't even know. Like, none of us knew that this was gonna happen. And then that you got a surprise sudden first place. You're gloating about it.
Yeah, your little ego.
When you should be. yeah. And then now, Chef Malloy, a great mentor to me, he came up to me and told me he kind of saw my face
Uh-huh.
like now one thing about me is I can't hide my emotions. I can hide my emotions verbally. I can't hide them physically. I wear my attitude on my face. You can tell how I'm feeling
Me
by,
sometimes.
yeah, no, because like I either it's like I have such a judgmental face. Like I don't mean for it. Like it just happens.
Yeah.
Um, and I can catch myself in most moments, but in
Okay.
that moment, it was really hard to like catch myself because I didn't want to be sour about it or anything like that. But Chef Malloy came up to me and he patted me on the back, gave me a hug, and he told me he's like proud of me, because one he said it's really hard for people on their very first competition, like ACF
Yeah.
competition, to get a gold medal,
Uh-huh.
and two, like I did everything amazingly. He said he watched my run. I had little to no mistakes. I finished early
Uh-huh.
and did really well. And he literally said, don't let Julie gloating and the fact that she won first place ruin your moment. And I said, and he literally said, this competition is about you
Uh-huh.
and your own personal growth,
Exactly.
not about anyone else's, because that's what cooking's about.
Uh-huh.
That moment kind of created this for the rest of my college career and the rest of my competition. A big headedness, like people who were on the main competition team, the 5-man team,
Yeah.
minus 2 people, which are my best friends. The other 3 though, all had a really big head on being like with the thinking that they're better than everybody, that Dean chose them to be on the competition team. They have the most gold medals and stuff like that.
Ooh, no.
When I'm just like, it's about like, we're all here competing to, yes, you want to be the best, like in athleticism, like in any kind of sport, you want to be the best, but you can't be the best if you don't have some humility.
Okay.
And I can't be better if I'm constantly comparing myself to how someone else is doing, because then it hinders my performance
Uh-huh.
by being like, oh, Julie can do better quenelles. A quenelle is a special French technique that you use to scoop ice cream. It looks like a little oval. It's pretty,
Yeah.
but I'm like, I need to practice on my own quenelles. I can't compare my quenelles to Julie's quenelles. I have to make my quenelles as good as I can, not as good as she can.
T.
I have to practice my piping, make my piping better, not make my piping like hers, you know?
Yeah.
I did a lot of growing in college in that time frame, and I developed a it is what it is kind of attitude, which also has some negatives,
Okay.
but it's more so it is what it is because it's out of my control, not it is what it is because I can't control it.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
If that makes sense?
Yes. It feels like one of those little like movie moments where like there's like a competition or something, and the one that is in the middle, whatever, or like the one that's like struggling is the one that comes out like the most fine in the end, and the one that like was, very ego or like more like I'm better is the one that sort of like ends up failing in a way.
Yeah.
And I feel like this person sort of failed in like you had a moment of personal growth. She had a moment of like, how does that, like a different kind of growth that isn't real
ego
growth.
growth.
Yes. And like, that's amazing for you. Like, I'm happy that you had that kind of moment, especially with a chef, like telling you, like personally going to you and like giving that kind of thing. That's huge to me. I think I call that a win compared to everything else.
I think we all need moments of humility.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like the first time I've seen her, probably the only time I really seen her be humbled was when she got a bronze medal.
Okay.
because all of her competitions, she placed gold, like high gold.
Yeah.
And then there was this one competition where I remember, because I didn't go with him for this competition. When college got busy and like really going, I had to prioritize earning money. So I had like 2 part-time jobs. So I kind of dropped from the competition team at that point.
Okay.
But I remember when they went, it was honestly really fucking depressing for the whole team.
Why?
Because again, remember how, like I said, like they compete in a state, a regional, and a national level?
Yes.
They went for, that team went for to the national competition, and they ended up losing, and they didn't go to the national. Like, yeah, they lost regionals, and no, I got it wrong. They lost nationals. They didn't end up winning nationals, and she had went to compete for best pastry chef, ACF pastry chef, or like student pastry chef or something like that. And I think she ended up getting 3rd place or 2nd place. And like, she didn't win 1st place, like how she always has been. And she was like upset, like depressed. And it was, I guess I'll call it my villain moment.
Okay.
And another aspect of comparison.
Yes.
But I never said it out loud. I say all these things in my head. But I was there, like, I'm going to be outwardly kind and inwardly intrusive and mean. Where I was like, oh, what happened? Like, like I already knew what happened. I saw the Instagram post.
So
they were like,
annoying.
they were driving back, and they were like, yeah, Julie didn't win. She got like this place. The team lost.
No, gasp.
No one's place. And I'm just like, yeah, no. I'm like, oh, damn. You'll get him next time.
And Malique, like, this is like something that, like, this is what I'm saying is that because you gained that kind of like experience earlier, if you were to experience that after, it wouldn't have been so depressing the way that she felt it. Do you see what I'm saying? Because she didn't experience that. She
went from competition to competition, just winning.
Yes.
And never got humility, like never got humbled.
Yeah. You didn't learn any of that. Like you did. You learned that.
Like when I look back at my college career.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel that I would do it all again. Okay. And I wouldn't change much of anything. If anything, if there's something that I could change, I would probably try harder. Like, I did try hard, but I don't think I tried hard enough. You know what I mean?
Okay. I think anybody could say that, of course.
I probably could have gotten on the team if I actually pushed and talked to Dean and show him that I want this. But I kind of just accepted the defeat as it was, being like, oh, I didn't get on the team. I guess I'll just stay as an individual competitor, type of thing. I didn't ask to be in as many competitions because they didn't have enough spots, even though, I was placing gold frequently. They were like, let's give other people a chance. And I'm like, no, let me go because I can do it, like, type of thing. I was just like, okay, you said I can't go. Like, then that's also me just kind of like giving up before I even try to fight.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, after having many work and job experiences, I'm learning how to stand up for myself. So let's hear about you.
Well, what I want to say to like the people, whatever out there, whatever that are listening, I think like to avoid feeling like this, it's important to focus on your own strengths and your accomplishments rather than measuring against, others like your friend here. And I think that involves setting personal goals, and celebrating your own like little achievements, like maybe doing like that little, like the one thing that you were talking about, what's that little thing, whatever. Ugh, I don't know what you said. You said like whatever, just some small thing. And I think, honestly, I think social media has made it the sort of comparison like a little bit more there. And I feel people, they create this like idealized like idea of themselves and all that. And they're not, and they look at others and they feel like they're not measuring up. And I think avoiding that kind of, social media and like external validation is good practice.
I think we can definitely see that in like millennials, was like the first wave of like that comparison trap, as you said.
Yes.
Where like we're Gen Z. We're like the old Gen, not old. We are the start of Gen Z. Yes. We're not old, but we're the start of Gen Z. We're like the leaders, the firstborn of this generation. So we have more life experience. And then the end of Gen Z are like the current 16-year-olds. And then let's
So
not
annoying.
talk about Gen Alpha, but like in the millennial sense, when Facebook and MySpace was all coming up, and as these people are growing and seeing their friends live their life, you know, as you get older, you kind of lose touch or contact with the people that you like grew up with or went to school with. But then you see like their life posts and events, like when people post like, oh, I just got married, oh, I just bought a house. And then you end up comparing yourself, seeing where you are in your life. You're like, I'm just as old as Kevin over here, but Kevin already has a house, 2 cars, and a kid. And what am I doing? I'm working a dead end job and can't get the promotion I want, type of thing. And then we fall in that sense of comparison where a lot of people end up getting depressed because they're seeing these social media posts.
Yes.
But people forget that people only post their best selves online.
Exactly.
And those people who are posting their achievements also are going through their own things. They could probably be looking at you on your end being like, oh, they don't have to face this kind of stress and pressure. I wish I could be like them. And
yes,
it's like,
exactly. It's a highly like the idealized manner, whatever, that whole thing. Like they're like posting. That's happened to me, Malique, where like somebody, this one guy that I used to know, whatever. We don't talk anymore. But I remember he told me that like he had this. I thought his position was really good and all these things and where he's at, whatever. But then towards the end, he's like, you're so lucky because you have this and this and that. I wish I was in your position. I think everybody has I compared myself with his sort of thing. And then, but in reality, he was like feeling like that with me. I was saying like the one that plays Gabriella, whatever, there's this one movie on Netflix, whatever, where it's like a princess and then like her twin and like they switch lives because they want those. What's that? I don't know what that show is. Or that
I'm gonna
movie.
look it up.
But it's sort of the same thing where it's like it's the princess who hates their the life, whatever that they have. Oh, it's also like the Princess Diaries. The Princess Diaries does that too, where it's like
no, not isn't it with Selena Gomez and Demi Lovato? Is that the movie you're thinking of, or is this specifically Vanessa Hudgens?
No, Vanessa Hudgens, but I know which one you're talking about with that because it's almost the same thing. It's the same sort of storylines.
Yeah,
they're really
we like actually, and that's another good thing to look at. Like Hollywood does it all the time.
Yes,
where they'll have these plot points where you'll see people and they're and living their life like and looking at another character wanting to be like them when that character wants to be just like them. And then they have like that moment of connection being like, I was always jealous of you, Bridget, because you have the wife. I mean, you have the husband, you have the kids, you have the house. And it was just like, you know how hard it is to be a trophy wife, Heather?
But why is her name Bridget, though? Shut up.
I don't know. That was just the first thing that came to my mind.
Shut the fuck up, Bridget. Shut up.
But yeah, like I know what you mean. You see that in a lot of movies.
Yes.
That theme of comparison, and then those characters have a moment of realization with each other, realizing that the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It's always one of those. Oh, it's called The Princess Switch. I found it.
Yes, that one. Yeah. And I think, okay, so like, yes, the Princess Switch, it's it's that sort of thing. It's the same theme, but they switch lives because they want each other's, like, they both want the lives of the other person, and they end up learning from it and kind of humbling themselves in a sort of way too. What I was going to say is that, cultivating a positive mindset can reduce that kind of like impact. And I think that's something that you practice, that kind of like self-compassion, whatever. And that's what I'm saying, like with you and that one girl, you've experienced those things. You cultivated a form of a positive mindset with your achievements and all of those things. And you didn't have much of an impact when it came to losing or like, reducing whatever, like that kind of thing. So I think the advice that we could like give to the people here, like a portion of it, whatever, is focus on the little strengths that you have. Don't measure, yourself to others, setting small personal goals, and celebrating your little achievements. And so let's, I know you said your story or whatever. I'm going to dive into like maybe something of mine, whatever, that, with achievements, I guess. There was this one point where, I think I've mentioned it in my podcast in one of the episodes. I don't know which one, but where when I was in college, I had to take a class for a drawing course, right? A drawing course. And I don't know how to draw for shit. I've never done it since high school. I've never done any kind of drawing, never been in an art class, nothing, none of that. And, you know, you're learning these principles and basic stuff. And there was this one project that really I mean, there's other projects, but there's this one project that really stood out to me where I kept, you know, you're in a circle with everybody and you're looking at, you know, everybody's looking at each other's work, whatever. And I think I had one of those kinds of girls in my class, and everybody kind of didn't like her because her name is, imagine if she's listening to this podcast, but whatever, I'm going to expose her name. She wouldn't care because she knows. Her name is Hannah, and Hannah she's really good at drawing and stuff. She's really good at it, but she had this sort of like I'm better kind of thing, and like the way she would present her work would be like, yeah, like mine is like so much better, and like so all of us would feel kind of like, ours isn't good enough and all these kinds of things. And you know, the whole point of like me being in that class is for everybody is to learn, like to understand the principles, to learn from it, and to, you know, have the professor like tell you like, you know, this is what could be improved, and this, you know, you're learning. You're not, I don't know why we have this like, we're like always looking at everyone's work and being like, my, like self-sabotaging, like we're like, mine isn't that good.
Mm-hmm.
Mine isn't so whatever, this and that. And I did that. There was this one, the one project we were working on was focusing on values, like, you know, more darker or lighter areas of like shading and things like that. Basically the light that's being captured and texture. And I did this one thing. I might post it on the Instagram when I do like a promotion for this episode. I'm gonna post it. I think I'm gonna post it. So stay tuned, sweeties. You know, follow my Instagram. But it's this photo of it's this eye, whatever, and like I was doing this, you know, the shading and all that, and I looked at it. And I'm like, this is like trash. I'm like, this is a piece of trash, and it doesn't look good. And like, you know, Hannah's is like so much better and detailed and darker, and everybody's is like, you know, I mean, there was maybe like two other students that like were kind of like not good, but you know, whatever. And the next day, we submit our project. The next day, I come into gallery, and I see my work on the gallery. I'm like, why is mine there? Why is it there? Like, there's no need for it to be there. And my teacher comes up to me. It was those movie moments. Like, my teacher comes up to me and she's like, are you surprised? And I'm like, yes, I'm surprised. Like, why is it there? And she's like, well, Kevin, look. She's like, you did the shading here. You understood how the light is like, you know, doing this. You understood this. She's like, well, yeah, you made maybe several of these mistakes, whatever. But you got, basically, I got what the concepts were and applied them, and I did a great job. And it sort of like made me realize, like, we really are in there, for example, to just learn these things and to grow and that kind of thing. We're not there to show like I'm better than Hannah, you know? And it's sort of the same thing with your culinary thing. Like you were there to push those limits that you've created with yourself and improve and stuff. And that was one of those moments where it helped me kind of grasp that sort of concept, whatever. Like, not, I don't know. I have a lot of
to not beat yourself down before you even try.
Exactly. And a lot of people did that, and like it showed, it really did. And especially with my kind of like work, whatever, there's a lot of imposter syndrome. Like I constantly feel like my stuff isn't good or whatever. And
wow. Can you explain imposter syndrome to me? What? For viewers to get a better, I said, can you explain imposter syndrome to give a better view, understanding?
Imposter syndrome is like where you doubt like your own accomplishments. You know, you fear being fraud. You like an imposter. You fear like that you're not, you know, you're fraud. You feel like you don't deserve like the achievements that you like have, and that you're not capable. And it can be, perfectionism, like, where me, I had like some kind of perfectionist kind of mindset there where I'm like, oh, like mine isn't as perfect as Hannah's. It could come into, overworking. It could come in a form of anxiety. It could come in the form of self-doubt. And it's sort of associated with like high achieving individuals. And I consider myself like, I always wanted to do like, be better. And that sounds kind of like egotistical in some kind of way, because like I want to be better than like fucking, there was this one bitch who like, I'll tell you another story right now. But like that kind of thing. And this is something that's mostly found in people who are professional entrepreneurs, those kinds of people. And regardless of success, like level of success. And it's funny because I remember asking my professor from my second school, I was like, I asked him genuinely, I emailed him. I emailed him, I think. And I'm like, do you get imposter syndrome? And he's like, Kevin, he's like, I'm so glad you brought this up. He's like, cause he made like a little video. He would constantly give us like each individualized like videos. And so you see his face and his reaction and everything. And he was like, Kevin, I'm so happy you brought this up, because I do, like, I get this constantly, like, even though I'm in like he's in a very good job and like in a very professional setting, he still constantly feels this sort of psychological pattern. And he gave me some advice and stuff like that. Because if we leave this unchecked, it impacts our like mental health, and it limits our potential. And like, I think in a lot of moments I've limited myself because I kept going into this psychological pattern, And so I think it's important to sort of recognize that. I know everybody has that. I'm sure you have had it. Everyone has it in any kind of, like I said, it's regardless of success, whatever. Because that could affect you mentally, whatever. So that's sort of what that is. It kind of falls into almost the same sort of fine line of being, the comparison sort of thing, because like the perfectionism and those kinds of things, high achieving.
With the imposter syndrome, like, is pretty much comparing yourself to your past self, like
something that I like when I was younger. I would, my parents thought that I was going to be some kind of engineer or these kinds of things, because when I was younger, and I think I talked about some of this maybe in some previous episodes. But I would play with, Legos and Connects. Connects are amazing. I love Connects. They're kind of like Legos, but they're like larger sticks and connecting, open.
I know. I had the Ferris wheel one.
Yes, I had that one.
And then
too.
I had the roller coaster one.
Yes, me too. I had like a bunch of. I still have like a whole thing, I think. And weirdly enough, I have like this. I love the game Portal 2, and I love the character GLaDOS, whatever, the operating system. She's like this evil character, for those who are listening. And I made like a little like version of her out of the Connects. It's amazing. So like, I don't know. I'm just like really into that kind of stuff. I'm such a nerd. But anyways, when I was younger, I constantly had like, would build these things. And I was obsessed with the way things worked, and obsessed with the way that, things connect with each other. Like, not connect physically, but connect as in how music can be translated into movement and things like that. That's just, or like color can be translated into emotion and those kinds of things. It's almost in the lines of like the way that choreography works. You're translating this whatever emotion in the music, or even just the sound of it, into movement. And I love those kinds of concepts. And when I was young, I would be obsessed with things like that. And so there was this one project, and I did it. I was so good at it because I knew my own achievements. It's the same thing when it comes to like the way that I talked about with like avoiding the comparison thing, because I knew what I'm capable of, and that was my strength. That was my strength, and that was my strength. So I knew that I needed to like hone in onto that kind of like ability and apply it to this project, right? And so I picked a song, because the project was about picking, a song that you like and translating that into a physical sculpture, a physical form. And I did it. Long story short, I made the sculpture and all that. And I remember like this one girl, her name is Amanda, and she would like, no one liked her because she was like so nosy and like annoying and like whatever. But she would like always like, she would like look at my stuff and be like, wow, like that doesn't like seem like it, you know, like it doesn't connect or whatever. And I'm like, shut up, Amanda. Like this is like, I know what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that this is the way I'm translating it. Cause I was very, what I call, what's it called? I knew already that I'm like really good at that. Like I knew that that's something that I'm passionate about those things that I knew I was going to do great. Yeah. And so I did it. And I remember like when it came to like presenting it and like, you know, sort of like a scoring thing, we would talk about it and all that. And we would do critiques together. And then later the core faculty would do like a scoring, you know, on it. But I remember like Amanda and like maybe her little friend, whatever, was like, that doesn't sound like this doesn't, you know, it doesn't, I don't think it works. And I'm like, Amanda, like, look at yours, like, shut up, you know, like, I think I did it correctly. And I ended up being in gallery, and it ended up being, I got a good grade. I got an A on it. I got, you know, everything was amazing. And I don't know where I was going back to this point, but you mentioned something, but I forgot what it was. But it was just sort of in the lines of
it was the don't doubt yourself.
Yes.
And you know, don't compare yourself to what you were able, like to what you did before. It's what you're doing now.
And it's one of those moments.
Yeah.
So I don't know what I was. Yeah, I just wanted to mention that because that was like one of those like moments where I also had like a little. I was like, I don't know. It felt amazing to be sort of. I know this is like an external kind of validation, but like to have like a form of validation from not from everyone, but from that kind of professional view, like the design principles and stuff, and that I achieved it without, so like obviously I put like a lot of effort and time and things like that, but it was something that I knew was my strength, my ability, you know. So yeah, I don't know.
No, I know exactly what you mean in that sense. Because again, like in comparison to my experience, you didn't doubt yourself, but others around you were doubting you and your ability when you knew fully well what you were capable of.
Yes.
And you proved them wrong. Or no, you proved them wrong. As in, you got the best grade. Yours was in the gallery, and Miss Amanda, where were you?
Oh man, that's so annoying. No one liked her. I wonder what she's doing right now. I wonder how she's doing.
But do you really care? No, I'm joking.
I don't, but I just love like knowing like what
where people end up in their life.
Let's yeah, like that. Let's go into like a small little segment that I have on my podcast called What's the Tea, and we're gonna talk about some few things here. What's the tea? What's the tea? What's the tea? What's the tea? So Malique.
I'm sorry, that intro just had me voguing. Like I was
literally like living, right?
Shoulder.
We're such gay people.
Start doing hand performance.
For real. Where is that song? It's from what's that song from? So I can send it to you. What's the tea? It's from Cobra.
I know I heard Cobra?
I think it was Cobra, right? Let me see. I don't know.
I don't know, but all I know is I heard the RuPaul laugh.
It was? I don't think it was.
Like at the very end.
It's by Cobra. Tea by Cobra. If anybody wants to listen
to
Cobra. Tea by
I'm gonna give it a listen.
Cobra. I know that you listen to some Cobra songs, so yeah, but that's where that comes from. But anyways, what's the tea? What's going on with you, Malique? What's the biggest what's something that's tea right now?
Well, okay, I just had a little coffee date yesterday. This perfectly goes into the comparison thing, but the guy that I'm talking to, like, okay, now a little side note, I fully think that we need to learn to be friends with people before you fully go into dating, into a relationship. So we're in, I call it the friendship stage,
Okay.
and cultivating an actual friendship, getting to know each other first before you decide to jump into a straight relationship and calling, each other boyfriend, girlfriend, or boyfriend, boyfriend, whatever it
Oh,
may
God,
be, whatever the
totally
situation is.
agree. You already know my situation.
Yes, become friends before anything else
Before
to see
enemies.
if it's really going to work. Yeah. And I found myself sorry, New York thing. He told me that his ex, like, they're on good terms. They broke up on mutual terms because he moved down to Tucson for a better job, while his ex is pursuing a entertainment career in Hollywood, and they're moving to LA soon. So they just found that it was better to break up mutually, and with a possible interest of dating in the future. I don't know what the timeline is looking like for him,
Okay.
but I'm not going to push into their relationship and whatnot, but I was asking questions on, like, oh, where's your ex from? Like, I wanted to ask them, like, what the race of their ex was or anything like that. Like, but I'm like, that's not my business. Let me get to know you. And I was like, in the back of my mind is I wanted to know more about the ex so I can compare myself to their ex to see if I would be a match for said person in terms of their interests and likes. But I'm not there to learn about their ex. I'm there to learn about them. And that was my, like, little side thing that I had going on yesterday. It was a really nice, like, little coffee date. We went downtown, went to a little coffee shop.
Cute.
I paid because I always end up paying because I'm a little bitch. And I was joking, but a little bit about me is I do face a lot of self-esteem image issues.
Wow.
I never really look at myself as an attractive person, but those around me will say that I'm attractive. And in the back of my mind, I'm always like, you're lying to me. You're only saying that to make me feel better. And I didn't ask for a pity party. But this guy, and he is, like, taller than me. Like, for reference, I'm 6'3". He's 6'5".
Oh, wow.
And I know. I'm just like, what I was thinking when I was talking to him, and he's also super fucking fit. Like, again, I like to work out, and I'm trying to get, like, that really, good body.
Yeah.
But he has, like, that body that I want, and he's, like, super fit, super muscular. Not musk. We don't like musk, unless you do. Then that's for you. But for me, no. Anyway. So yeah, and I'm talking to him, and I'm just like, is he into me? Like he wouldn't entertain a date with me if he wasn't. And then I'm just over here doubting myself, being like, no, he wouldn't waste his time talking to him because I think that he's really attractive. So I'm just like, in my mind, I think that I'm not, and, like, that he wouldn't be into me because I'm not attractive in my own sense, but he is, and, like, he's just, like, a really handsome man. And I'm just like, wow, maybe I had, like, and then I turned that into a self-confidence boost of being like, he wouldn't have entertained a date with me and entertained an idea for another date or even make plans for another date if he wasn't into me. So yeah, that's my, like, little tea. I guess another bit of tea is that I start a new job soon. I'm really excited.
Yes.
Next week. I got the email for everything that I need, and I already gathered all of it because, you want to be prepared always. You gotta stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Tea work.
Yeah, that's my, like, little tea, I guess. I can go more into it if you'd like.
Well, then we're going to have like a 3-hour or something show, sweetie.
A 3-hour podcast now.
What's my tea? My tea is I met up with this person that I haven't seen in 7 years. And apparently they had a crush on me in high school. And I remember, like, sort of certain things. And it was this wild ride with this person. Low key, like, I still don't believe a lot of things that he says. but he had a crush on me, and I talked to him, whatever, and we like talked, whatever, and I was just sort of wanting to understand like the whole thing that happened in high school, like because there was this whole weird moment with him, and you know, drama, whatever, some drama that happened, and I never knew, and I had this weird moment, and we sort of talked about it, where I never knew that I was gonna like meet him like again, like see him and talk to him about these things again. Like I sort of let that go and like moved on, and it's just
Yeah,
funny.
you're like, that's in the trash now. That's in the past.
Yeah, and it's just weird how the world works sometimes, where you come back at a later time, and where we've grown up as people and have become more mature and all of these things. I hope, you know, and I know that I have. And I was just looking at him, and I'm like, you know, this is crazy. Like I didn't think we were ever gonna talk about all of this too. I know it's like high school stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but I was just always curious about why, you know, these little things, whatever. And it was just, you know, that was interesting. I guess it's not super, I mean, it is kind of tea for the people that I guess know whatever, or I don't know about all of these
That
things.
know you.
Yeah, I guess like the closest people that like know me, whatever, that you know, whatever, and it's just interesting. So that's sort of like the biggest thing, you know. And I also wanted to add that, you know, outside of this like sort of segment thing, is that in one of my points we talk about, I put self-comparison and self-compassion, and you sort of like added, you like kind of brought that up right now with like I don't know what you said, but like you brought that up with like this.
Oh, I had self-esteem issues, self-image, self-esteem issues, and just like, and then I had a moment of hyping myself up and saying that, like, what did I say? Oh yeah, I was like, he wouldn't have wasted his time if, like, it was my own self-confidence boost, being like, he wouldn't have wasted his time talking or meeting with me if he didn't think I was a little bit attractive.
Okay, yeah. I think it's a form of practice. Yeah, the practicing self-compassion, like treating with the same kindness like to yourself that you would offer to that person.
Mm-hmm.
God, excuse me. I had like a gross, disgusting burp. Did you hear that? ASMR.
Well, do you see yourself talking or reconnecting, like fully reconnecting with this person?
No, not really. It's just the questions that we had, whatever. I don't know. And it's just like weirdly this sounds like sad, but it's true. I don't believe everything he says still, because there was this one moment in high school where, you know, there was this weird moment, and I sort of called him out on it, and I was like, you know, show us the proof, like all of these things, and there was just a lot of drama in high school.
Where's the receipts?
Yes, and he would always avoid them, and so this time that I was talking to him, it was the things that he was saying, I was just not believing it. I was like, I still don't believe you. Like, I think you're making all of this up.
He broke your trust before, and he has to build it back.
But also, like, what I'm saying is that I think, like, all of this stuff that he's saying, I could imagine him being in a very, very way better position now than how he was 7 years ago. So I was expecting him to like be like at this other level, and he's not at all. And it's like, like, I don't get it. Like, I'm like, so that's why I don't believe him, because I'm like, but if you have this and this and that, and if you've done this and this and that, shouldn't you be like at this other position right now? Like, why are you here? Like, you know, I don't know how to explain to you, because I don't want to go into like super very deep detail, but it's just like, what the fuck? I don't believe you.
I think we can pull this into the topic of comparison, Kevin, where where again, I think that now it's a outside comparison where you still don't really know what they fully have going on and what's hindering them from getting to that next level or stage of where you think they should be.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
like, give them like the benefit of the doubt. Maybe just because you don't, like you think that's where they should be, depending on if it's their job field or whatever, if they're boasting. Remember, it's one of those things where we're always like, you always put your best foot forward and build up yourself so other people don't doubt you. And it's fair to think what you think of where they should be. But it's always giving them benefit of the doubt of just like, maybe you, like, because you think they should be at where they are.
Yeah.
That's not just how it works. So who knows? I mean, you could be in worse situations, as in what, just happened, not saying too much about that, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yes. I guess it involves like recognizing that, like, that they have like their own strengths, whatever, and challenges, and, comparing ourselves to that is not helpful. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I agree with you. Like, there's like things that I was like, well, this makes sense. Like, I could see why you're not at this position, whatever. And like he said, like what he's doing to be at that position. I was just like, having these moments where I'm like, what, I don't know. Maybe it's just because society like teaches us a certain way or something. I don't know.
Society forces us to compare ourselves, especially in this capitalistic society. Yeah. It definitely makes us fight each other more than the people that we really should be fighting. But this is not that kind of podcast right now.
No, but we could talk about that at a later time for sure.
Yes.
Well, it's pretty long of an episode. Do you want to like add anything else? Pretty long.
Anyway.
Just shut up. You're so disgusting. Hold on. It's pretty long. We love it.
I feel like the thing that I can leave with is we're all on our own journey, and don't hold yourself back based on other standards, on your own standards. You're not going to grow in that way. But what you can grow is like the way you can grow is by putting one foot forward at a time. Because that's the only way to move is forward. And you're only going to hold yourself back by listening to other people's standards. I wish that we were able to talk about family comparisons, being compared to your siblings or other family members, because that also is another big thing. But if you have any of those things going on, if your family is comparing you to a sibling, if your job is comparing you to another employee, if you're comparing yourself to other people, or if other people are comparing you to other people, fuck all of that. Fuck them. You can only do right by yourself and improve on yourself if they're not trying to help you improve.
Beautiful words. I guess overall, practicing self-compassion is important. It's important to overcome the comparison trap. It allows us to develop a more positive and accepting attitude towards ourselves and reduces the negative impact of comparison and our mental health and well-being. So, Malique, I want to say thank you for joining us in this podcast episode. This is our first time, and I want to do more for sure.
Our first time. You only get it once.
He broke he popped my podcast cherry, thank you.
It's bleeding a little bit, but
it's just bleeding just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
It's just bleeding.
But it's bleeding for more.
We're so gay. Oh my god. The people who are listening to this episode, I'm so sorry. We're pushing our gay agenda.
I'm not. I'm not. Be gay, do crime.
I'm not sorry. Sorry I can't. I'm gay.
In the words of Demi Lovato, I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry.
T. We need to end this episode. Guys, thank you for listening and tuning into this podcast episode. Be sure to check my show notes. Malique, do you want to put your social media below? Do you want me to do that?
No, it's okay. I'm off the grid.
Okay, that's fine.
Maybe next time. I'm revamping my social media.
Okay. We have to respect the people's privacy, people, but thank you for joining me. Yeah. Okay. Hi everyone. be sure to check my show notes. You can follow my new Instagram, my new This Era Instagram. It's at This Era Cast on Instagram. And I'm going to be posting stuff there and new shows and things like that. And be sure to also follow and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to. Oh my God, my outro literally died. Like, what the fuck? Be sure to follow and enable notifications on wherever you're listening at, so you can, get a notification when I post a new episode. And yeah, I don't know what my outros are. Oh, and be sure to also answer the poll question if you're listening to the podcast on Spotify. Be sure to answer the poll, and you could also add a little message there, and you could be featured in an episode of a future episode of This Era. So, yeah, okay, I need to end this now. Thanks for listening to This Era, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.